What's up, everyone? Make sure that you can to be able to hear us like this, comment on it, share it. Thankful to have Austin Good in with us today. Of course, he's my business partner and brother, and was able to talk with him about sharing our real estate investment story. So I was teaching a class yesterday, and a gentleman in the back it was more about our traditional real estate business with the Good Home team, and he wanted us to kind of dive into how we got started in real estate investing. So before we jump into that, I mean, this has been going around, Austin. People wanted us to do a class. You know, Sterling Reed and our buddy Ryan Stuman has been talking to us for a while about maybe putting a class together. And when Austin and I were kind of spitballing what that would look like, we don't want to do a coaching program. We've tried that. You know, that's not our forte.
It's not our best use of time.
Not our best use of time. But we wanted to make sure that, one, we give back to the community, and two, share what we're doing. You know, if you have a deal, bring it to us. We'd be happy to buy it from you. We'd be happy to figure out if there's a way we can partner with it. We pay referral fees and cash to anybody that brings us a deal. So if you can hear us, like this, share it, tag someone who's interested in real estate investing. So a little backstory, Austin and I partnered up in 2009 to start the Good Home team, our traditional real estate business. And, I'm not afraid to say it, Austin was not the best real estate agent. He would get kicked out of listing appointments and not play nice with the clients at the time when they thought their house was worth more, and Austin said it wasn't. And so kind of walk us through how we went down into our first flip. In 2010, we acquired that property in Plano.
So I'd always known, first of all, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I believe when I was 13 or 14 years old. So always in the back of my mind, I always wanted to make money and to become wealthy, to become rich. So at a very early age. So this was always in the back of my mind. And whenever Nick asked me to join him up to the Good Home team and go to that side, I was in oil and gas at the time, doing boiler room sales, kind of like Wolf of Wall Street. I was resistant at first, but then I got burned out. I was making a lot of money as a young guy, and it wasn't really satisfying. Some of the companies that you may or may not know, the oil and gas money-raising business is full of con men and
Sharks, snakes.
Sharks.
Yeah.
Some of the first people that I worked for are now sitting in federal jail. A couple of them actually killed themselves before their trial and things like that because they knew that they were going to jail. So basically, it wasn't satisfying. When I learned about this business and what was happening to investors' money, I immediately thought, hey, I need to get out. And so I joined my brother up. He was a real estate agent.
And that was in 2009.
2009.
Yeah. By the way, if you're watching this live, type Ellen, or if you're watching the replay, hit R. Austin and I wanted to also, see how far we can get this out. Someone can tag Grant Cardone and Gary Vaynerchuk. Let's see if we can find a way to get these people on as well. We have a big interest in wanting to give back to the community. So go ahead, finish. So we partnered up in 2009, right? You got your license. We brought the call center style to the industry. Maybe it was going on before, but we like to act like we coined that.
Yeah.
Because you brought that over from the oil and gas side of things, and kind of jump forward to 2010 when we were full in recession, doing short sales. And how did we get our first flip property? Because it's not like we were actively trying to find flips at that time just yet.
We were focused on, I was focused on working on the business, the systems and things, and Nick was focused on being like the rainmaker at the time, actually securing the listings, because as he said, that wasn't, my strong suit, going on listing appointments. Although I could work buyers pretty well. It's pretty easy. Could never really work with investors though. because I had such high requirements for returns on investment and things like that. And I had read and consumed a lot of books by that point. So always it was in the back of my mind, but we didn't have an active plan to find anything. So what happened is, I believe the first one, if I'm remembering correctly,
The one in Plano.
Was in Plano. It was on Colt Drive in East Plano, and it was our lender that we were working with at the time who brought us the lead.
Tom Wilson, yeah.
Tom Wilson at Supreme Lending. So he brought us the lead. He said, hey, this lady came to me and said she's behind on payments and is looking for, a solution, but she owes too much. So it was going to be perhaps a short sale. And as it turns out, this lady, this girl I went to high school with. So it's kind of a small world.
Yeah, we got lucky on that one.
Yeah.
We can't replicate that again. Probably not.
No. But actually, this one transaction helped really. It gave us 3 points of contact, really, or it gave us the deal itself, but 2 very important contacts from there. That was the first time that I met Matthew Aycock.
That's right.
He was working downstairs.
Yeah. So Matt Aycock is an attorney who runs Pratt Aycock and Associates, and he was also running. I think it was Stellar Title at the time, wasn't it? Stellar Title, and so he's running a title company and a title attorney. And so we met Matt and was negotiating the deal. The bank happened to be a credit union that we were a part of.
Yeah, we were a part of it, but that it wouldn't have mattered if we weren't a part of it. So it just so happens to be that Matt was going to negotiate this for us, and he reached out to the bank, and them being a credit union, they were a decent sized credit union, but they still have one person pretty much in charge of fraud and dispositions, special assets manager, I think was his title. He wanted to actually meet us at the property to go over things. So that was we didn't realize it at the time. We thought that was maybe standard protocol, which it's not. So we went to the property, we were able to walk it with them, and we secured a relationship with this fellow. And I talked to him the other day, actually. I always reach out to him. He's at a different credit union now.
And we bought several more because of that relationship with him.
We bought a lot.
Yeah.
We bought a lot from him. I mean, anytime they would have anything on their books, they would come to us. And I think I bought just about every single deal that they brought to me, except for maybe one. One we were too far apart and they had a better deal on. But really, he would only send it to me. I think half the time he would send it only to me and maybe one other person. But I just made it where it was really easy to work with us. Just real straightforward, and he liked the way we did business, and we focused on making a relationship with them and really building that bond.
And when we bought that property, because I know even at the gym this morning when we were working out, AC, the owner of TBT Gym, asked about how do we get started, and he mentioned more apartments, but we can go into that next. We didn't have any money. It's not like we came, our parents were middle class. I mean, they provided well for us, but we didn't have a silver spoon or a trust fund. I wish we did. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for not providing that. But how did we source the financing for that? Because we weren't making a lot of income at the time.
It's funny. I can't recall actually. How
I thought
we got the financing.
I thought it was a hard money loan. I think it was a hard money loan, if I remember correctly, at 10%, 10 or 12% interest rate.
Yeah, that sounds right. So the plan was to wholesale it.
Yeah,
actually.
And explain wholesaling.
So wholesaling is when you buy a property and then you close on it and you immediately put it up for sale on the MLS or on the open market.
Without really doing anything, right?
Without doing anything. Maybe you do some cleanup real quick if it's dirty, but we didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Maybe mowed the yard or something like that.
Yeah. And so it was a 10 or 12% hard money loan. So, I mean, for the people out there that say, I can't do it because I don't have any money. I mean, that's total bullshit. I mean, if you find a deal, the money will be there if you make your connections, right? Just put it out there.
You've got to have the connections though ahead of time.
Right.
You've got to start surrounding yourself by deal makers too, so that you're well prepared when you do have a deal. You can also assign deals, things of that nature if there's enough money in it.
Right. So we wholetailed that one. I think if I remember correctly, $35,000.
That made like
$35,000, which I mean we were killing. I mean that was. I mean I think in 2010, if I remember, our commission income at the time was around 250,000, and we had to split that between the business. We were paying ourselves a whopping $1,500 a month income in 2010, if I remember correctly. So it wasn't much at all. So that $35,000 was huge, and so that kind of led us to start thinking about, all right, maybe Austin is better suited for the investment side and start to build that business and portfolio with us. So, before we jump into, how you grew the flipping and the investments, or the rental portfolio, because we didn't own any rentals at the time. No. We didn't own anything. In fact, we just barely owned houses and anything like that. So again, if you're liking this, if you're liking the content, even if you're hating it, give us a mean face. If you think this is all crap content, but we want to make sure that what we're providing is great. Share it, tag a friend, Grant Cardone, Gary V, tag them in it, and type L if you're watching it live, hit R if you're watching the replay on it, ask questions. Austin has already been answering a ton of them in our previous post, so he'll be glad and happy to share. So kind of fast forward, we made $35,000 on that first flip. I don't remember the rest of the year really doing any more. But
I think we did one in Farmers Branch that we found on the MLS.
That's right. But we made
$10,000.
$10,000.
We partnered with a buddy of mine who is a high-end general contractor. So he's used to doing $1 million+ houses, which he didn't have experience flipping. So I think he went a little bit overboard on.
That was a badass house.
It was a really nice house. It was looking back, we shouldn't have done it that nice.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still ended up making $10,000 each on it.
Yeah.
Which wasn't bad.
Not bad at all. I mean, you wouldn't do it for $10,000 a day.
No. Although, I mean, we've made $10,000. We've lost money on deals before, a couple deals. So it happens.
Yeah. So I mean, we started flipping. I mean, and we were sourcing our flipping business from all avenues at the time. This was during the recession. So, I mean, we had a little bit more opportunities to find deals. It's a little bit harder today, but, kind of walk us through that. I mean, how do you get started?
There was some lead providers at the time that are still out there, and we actually still use them. I think Z-Buyer is one of them.
Z-Buyer was good. It's not as good for investment anymore.
Not anymore.
We've never bought any more homes from Z-Buyer, but
we made probably $250,000 from Z-Buyer leads, or what was it? Place for Leads. Alex, do you remember the lead? It was Z-Buyer and Fast Home Offer.
Fast Home Offer. Yeah. Jeremy Brandt's company, Fast Home Offer. Mm-hmm. And we haven't used Fast Home Offer in a while, but that's probably still good. I would definitely go check out Jeremy Brandt's company, Fast Home Offer.
The leads are crazy expensive now, but and I don't know what the quality is like, but you could actually ask for refunds if they didn't know what they were talking about, or didn't submit the info. I mean, there were certain things. And they were pretty good about refunding that. They were about $75 a lead at the time, but we bought a lot from those.
Yeah.
At the time, though, looking back, I wish we would have understood the opportunity that was out there in 2009, 2010, just from MLS leads alone. But we kind of did. Alex helped us to put together. Alex is an employee of ours
and partner,
business partner, and he helped us put together a pretty sophisticated program before all these programs like MLS Deal Finder. I think there are. some internal programs for scouring the MLS. We got direct, what you call RETS access, which is developer access to the MLS, which we still have. And it would scour the MLS and make valuations based on certain things and compare it to what the list price was. And if it hit certain ratios, it would send it to us. And then we had a VA in the Philippines who made offers on those. And he also built a rapid offer machine that an agent could not tell the difference between an agent submitted manually offer and one that was done on this machine, which we still have and it still works. But we were buying, I don't know, 50 properties a year with this method, and
we were wholesaling.
We were wholesaling.
Yeah, we were wholesaling those.
We were making probably on average like $3,500 on each one. This was just like quick in and out type deals, and I think we partnered on a lot of the dispositions with Net Worth.
Net Worth, and then we would do Western, but Net Worth at the time was our biggest clients. I mean, for buying, helping us unload those wholesale properties. So they made their 5,000, we made 3,500, whatever that may be.
Yeah, they for anybody that doesn't know, they seem to be able to always sell something for a higher amount than most wholesalers. Some would argue that that's because they go after new investors, and maybe they take advantage of them. I don't know. There's a lot of argument about that, but either way, they were able to move properties. We were still able to, get the yields we needed. And we probably should have built a buyer's list, but they made it so easy that it was just a good, seamless process. And we were focused on other things too. This was just kind of, side hustle.
Yeah. So that was a side income. And then you went to flipping, so we were flipping 15, 20, maybe something like that, around 50.
Well, if you pure flips that we rehabbed ranged from anywhere from 10 to 15 a year. The rest were wholesale or hotel. Besides the 50 I was telling you about that are the micro wholesale, the little $3,000 ones we did.
So and kind of to fast forward this so it doesn't drag on, people get bored and log off, but we started buying some rentals because we wanted to start. Flipping's great. It's great to start building up your war chest, right? But we had to, as deals start tightening up, we wanted to make sure that we created monthly income. Do you remember our first rental property at all?
I knew you were going to ask me.
I just came to my mind and I can't remember.
I've got a spreadsheet I could tell you.
But what's your mindset behind that? Because we didn't start acquiring rentals first, and we didn't acquire rentals right away either. I think it was like a couple years into A&G.
It was always in the plans though. I recognize the value of passive income over working for your money every year. Horizontal income versus vertical income is kind of what I call it.
And we kind of followed David Osborne, one of our mentors who's built I think he's got like 47 streams of income. So we started acquiring some rental properties. I mean, how did we explode it to? I mean, I don't even know how many doors that we have today.
I think we have, as far as single family, not including the developments that we've done, which are the bulk of what we have. I think we're at like 30 single families. But those like first 10 that we bought in equity, there was we've got over $1.5 million in equity or something. We've done some cash out refis of that. So right now we're sitting at about $1 million in equity in those first 10, which we're unloading right now as leases come up, because the return on equity drops. So it's a good thing whenever your property value goes up, but rents don't follow linearly. So rents don't go up, and a lot of these have doubled in value.
Right.
But rents, we're not getting double the amount of rents.
Right.
So what happens is our return on equity drops down, and therefore selling them and recycling that money into new opportunities or bigger opportunities that have a better return than we're currently getting. Because I think when I looked at it, we're getting about a 3% return on our equity on that $1 million. Whereas, I'd like to see at minimum 10%, and that's that's cash on cash. That doesn't include future appreciation or the tax benefits of depreciation or anything like that.
Right. Absolutely. So, and my personality was, until he explained that to me, I was like, what, we're selling these, we're cash flowing on it. My thought was always to pay them off. But we're using that as our bank to get us into even bigger and better opportunities, or hopefully better. Yeah. Right. And so,
well, right now, actually, what we're doing with that $1 million that comes back, I'm putting it in the bank and I'm going to sit on it. Now we're going to put it into something that earns some return, not just a bank account. But in development, it's a whole nother game. So in development, cash is king, and balancing your balance sheets, your personal balance sheets, and income that you're making is very, very important. If you're making a ton of income, but you don't have much liquidity, then when you go and ask for all these loans, then it's not going to look good. Plus, with where we're at in the current market cycle, I talk to a lot of guys that are much older than me that have been through many market cycles. And the one thing that they always come back to, the ones that are still going strong, they would tell me about times when the recessions hit, and man, if they didn't have that, and it's usually $1 million, if they didn't have that $1 million sitting around waiting, they probably wouldn't have made it. They would have had to, declare bankruptcy. And so rather than be super aggressive all the time with everything on these big developments, it's really good to have a stack of cash waiting around in the event something happens.
And to capitalize on it. Yeah.
Well, to capitalize on it for one, but even for, short term, capitalize on it, use it, but then get permanent financing or another financing source to get that money back. But the key is to keep that certain nest egg there. And that's just my personal belief on it, especially as we raise money. And when we're raising money from other investors, it's very important to be able to get yourself out of any potential sticky situations, and potentially, I'm of the opinion that if something went wrong with one of our deals and, I'm able to step in and make some of my investors whole on a deal that by all means wasn't my fault, I think that I will have an investor for life if we did that.
And we can talk about what he means by investors here in a minute, because you're kind of jumping forward. We're now into bigger projects, which with Lowe, one of our business partners, on an assisted living facility, where we're syndicating that out, which is something that we're just now getting into. But guys, if you're liking this information Austin's providing, and is grateful that we have his time here today, hit like, hit love, hit the wow face, hit the mean face. Who cares? Just hit something. And type L if you're watching it live, hit R if you're watching the replay. Share this and tag a friend. And again, I'm going to ask it again, is tag Grant Cardone and Gary Vee. We want to be able to hit them up. We want to pick their brains on
He's
stuff.
A dreamer.
He is. You never know who's watching this. So, walk us through again. So we walked it through. Got started with our first wholesale, which was kind of a flip in 2010. Can't remember when we really bought our first rental. I think it was 11 or 12, if I remember correctly.
It was. I don't think it was that late.
Was it?
No, it was before then.
Before then.
So the reason because it was before then because our first big development deal, Audra Heights, we started that in 2012.
So in between our first flip in 2010 to before Audra Heights, which is a 36 unit.
No, 72 unit.
72 unit, 36 duplex.
Building.
So 36 duplex building, 72 units in Denton, Texas, which has been almost what has made Austin Good the investor. I mean, that's kind of, if we really look at it, I mean, that's what some, I think Jason put it in there, you work so hard and all of a sudden you're an overnight success, but that's, everyone started seeing you for the amount of time and energy.
It was our first big scale deal is what it is. But I think all those base hits leading up to it is the reason why we could even take down that opportunity in the beginning. So you've got to start you've got to start somewhere.
And how did you learn? I mean, you talked about Rich Dad Poor Dad, which, that's something you and I read, I think, together. Really, the first deal that we tried to buy, if you remember correctly, was on the house over near our house in Los Rios. There was one around the corner was for sale, and Austin, it was for sale by owner. And Austin called the guy. I think you were 15 years old, if I remember, and tried to do a subject to on that property. And I think you were pretty close. So, I mean, that, for whatever, it's been in the blood since our teenage years to try to figure out how to get this investment thing figured out. And in 2010 is really when it took stronghold. So, in order to start acquiring as many properties as we are, how did you, learn the marketing side of that? I mean, because our marketing's changed, it's adapted to today's world, but, what's working for you?
Trial and error, really. It's actually changed almost every year, and for a long time. We're talking about deal sourcing, where we purchase majority of the properties that we buy for wholesaling or mainly flipping. We don't do a whole heck of a lot of wholesaling anymore, just because it's so time consuming to do as many as we need to get the margins. But flips, I mean, typically we're taking only high margin flips. But to answer your question, deal sourcing. So, in the beginning, like I said, we were trying everything. We're using Z-Buyer, for example, and we would get deals from other agents in our office here.
That's right.
We were buying. And this was way before we were actively trying to put the word out to expand our network so that people knew what we did. I mean, we could have fast forwarded, we could have exponentially grown what we've done so far if we were more in tune with that. In fact, I know I didn't really get started actively trying to be a part of social media until about a year ago or so.
6 months, really. It really started, I think, with some of your deal flow and then the Lambo posts. If you haven't seen the Lambo post, go to Austin, where I think it has some license plates on there that says no school, with school spelled SKOOL. So you can go find that and keep that thread going. But yeah, the deal flow, I mean, we did online. We're still buying from agents. We're still buying from our network. So if you have a deal that you don't know what to do with it, we'll buy it from you as long as it makes sense.
Yep. We send out postcards.
Yeah. So. If you see in the background over there, those are some of the postcards that are returned that come back to us, and postcards are still working for us.
I mean, it's one of our main sources.
I mean, and then we run our agent on the Good Home Team side. They make cold calls, and we're grateful for what they do. And they're bringing you deals. So a lot of the cold calling is working.
Yeah, we do. We bump into deals, being that on the traditional side, we're going to do over 200 transactions this year. So, and our guys, they're aggressive with looking for listings and things like that. So we bump into deals anyway, just trying to get listings the normal route.
Yeah.
So that's been good. We don't have anybody specifically. I never really built up that side of the business and scaled it from a people's systems leverage, besides, just small systems that made it easier on me. I kind of just handled that myself. And the rationale behind that was just that we had spent so much time on people and systems in the Good Home Team that and the overhead associated with it and the pains of growing a company large that way, that I wanted to keep the flipping and investment side high margin, low overhead. And we still kind of operate that way. There's plenty of people out there that have scaled huge their flipping and wholesaling business. I'm friends with a lot of them, and it's really, really impressive. I'm not the guy to learn about on that side by any means. I wanted to focus more of my energy and time on doing bigger and bigger deals and being more, I guess, efficient as a hustler myself, and maximize my time doing developments and things like that. Now, we may scale in the future, but as of right now, my main focus is on, we've got on autopilot pretty much the acquisition of about 12 to 15 flips a year.
What about rentals? We're
Rentals, it varies, you know. And I separate rentals out from my developments, which are a lot of them are rental communities that we own the doors on.
Yeah.
But when I'm just thinking about single family rentals, I mean, I think we acquired 16 so far in the past 6 months or so, and that was through a couple multiple property packages that we bought from investors. One was a wholesale of a 10
half
duplexes
yeah.
in Mesquite, which was, I mean, I'm still on wholesaler lists, and I still look at a majority of those emails, even though there's only maybe one a year that I am interested in and go after.
What's like our mentor David Osborne says is, you know, one, to get started, just start looking at deal flow, right? I think he still says he looks at 100 deals a year to keep him sharp, and he's buying from that. So, I mean, you're still looking at wholesale deals, even though, you know, a lot of those wholesale deals are probably.
Yeah, and it's hard to not have a bias towards it. But you know, when I recognize it, when I immediately recognized when I saw this deal, when I was just doing the rough numbers in my head, that this was a deal, and actually it was really undervalued. So I immediately took action on it, immediately locked it up, called the wholesaler, did everything I needed to do, and beat out a bunch of other people. And in fact, I think were a little upset because there was much higher offers coming in after they tied it up with me. And I knew that was going to be the case, so I acted on it very quickly. And I think I could have turned around and resold it for at least $50,000, maybe $100,000 more.
But that one's turned into, I mean, thanks to our buddy Jawad, I mean, who's helped.
Yeah, Jawad actually I beat Jawad out on that. He didn't, we realized it afterwards, but he hit me up and he's like, hey, were you the one that got that one?
And Jawad helped us kind of learn Section 8. I mean, that was something that originally when you had bought it, you're like, oh, this is going to return us about 38 or 42 a year or something like that. I don't remember the number straight off the top of my head. But now because you've converted to Section 8, it's almost like 60, 65.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the time I talked to Jawad. I was in the process of talking to him, so I knew it was going to be around 60 on this particular property.
Good. Yeah, I mean, I love it. And
$60,000 a year from these 10.
Yeah, from these 10
net income.
Yeah, I mean that's a huge win.
And by the way, we I took it down with actually on this one because of speed. I normally don't do this, but I took it down with some private money, and then after 6 months did a cash out refi, and so I was in it essentially in the beginning. It took $200,000 for me to take it down of our capital. We happened to have it at the time, and you know, we're making hard money loans to other people, so we're, you know, flush with cash at that point and looking for places. So I could have taken it down without doing that from day one. It just was easier. I had the cash, so I did it. And then after 6 months, we got permanent financing on it. We're in it for $0, and that was after we did a bunch of rehab to it. So
a couple of questions. I mean, you know, what is the goal that you have for our portfolio? And you know, you've got a bigger vision because you're now moved into from flipping, wholesaling, flipping. You know, we're always acquiring for our rental portfolio, so that doesn't go away. But now you're into development. You know, we're with our partner and buddy Lowe with Sage Oaks.
Yeah, that's one of our projects.
That's one of our projects, an assisted living facility that we're syndicating out. So what's the long-term goal for A&G development?
You know, it's constantly changing right now because of the rapid growth that we're having, and also we're constantly learning this as we go. I mean, development is a very complex thing that you never stop learning on that stuff. And if you learn it, municipalities change the way they do things all the time. Like every time I resubmit in for, you know, planning for a platting process or whatnot, there's always something changing. So to answer your question, the goal, I think that we need to sit down and actually put it formally there. I mean, we've just been going so much, and I do have goals in my head, but they're not so well defined as far as a number is concerned. I think initially we were working off of each of us having a minimum of $1 million a year in passive and truly passive income. And
but that with what we're doing, that changes. So I mean, we'll
got to be higher now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with the Lambo payment alone, it's probably that
it's used.
Yeah.
Yes, it's used.
So before we get in any more, hit like if you're liking this. Hit wow, hearts, mean face, whatever. If you're watching it live, hit L. If you're watching the replay later, hit R. Ask questions. Austin's good about coming back in and answering any questions. And then, we're contemplating doing a real estate investment class, not coaching, not courses, a class to with our buddy, maybe Ryan Stuman and Sterling. And we just want to know what that content would look like that's valuable to you, that's not a waste of money. And ultimately, for full transparency, why would we do it is to get you in our network. I mean, again, we're now getting more and more deal flow. So bring us deals. And ultimately, we want to say, hey, if you've got a deal, maybe we can partner on. I mean, because of Facebook, Dave and Jamie, Dave Hale and Jamie Waite, with State Storage Group, we're now partners in that because of, the opportunity of Facebook. I mean, this, you never know where this can go and lead to us. So, if you were giving me advice as a brand new investor, or I think even Amanda on our team, on the Good Home Team Asset, just quick 1 minute, how do I get started? And then what keeps Austin good up at night? And then we'll kind of end this here.
For me, it started. What's the first part of this?
So the first part is like Amanda asked, give me the quick bird's eye view of how to get started, right?
Right. Well, I get these questions a lot, and I think I answered it on a comment earlier. It was for me, it was the consumption and really the obsession with knowledge. That doesn't end ever. It hasn't for me. I mean, my wife Vika will tell you I'm literally reading or doing something. I've got so many Kindle books and audio books. Sometimes I'm listening to an audio book while I'm reading another book, which I don't suggest doing. It's not the best. You're not going to absorb a lot of it. So I have to stop myself. But it's being obsessed with of what you're trying to accomplish. And really, it's hard for me to tell you that there's one method or one way to go. It really depends on your situation. And the only way you're going to find that out is by digging in. Start with a book. Don't be too particular with the book. Just start with a basic general real estate investing book. Join Facebook groups of other real estate.
I think Propelio is great meetup group, right?
Go to Propelio. Yeah, Daniel Moore is a good buddy of mine, and he is always dropping knowledge, and he's always there. All the people, start surrounding yourself with people that have an abundance mentality, people that don't have a scarcity mindset. They're more than willing to tell you everything that they do. But like I was telling somebody on a comment earlier, don't be that person that only reaches out to somebody and says, hey, I want to get started in investing. What do I do? Just don't do that. That's such a generic question. It's hard to answer. It takes too much time. You're probably going to get ignored. What's better is start to absorb knowledge, read, listen to podcasts, listen to videos, go to YouTube, figure out for yourself what of the general different strategies out there would fit your current situation, and then start diving in, start getting deep on learning more about it. Buy a book specifically on that strategy, talk to people about that strategy. And then I think I was saying that 90% of a lot of these strategies and a lot of topics really can be learned in a couple days or a week. 90%. That would be, that may be too much. It might be 80%, but that might be conservative. Depends on what in particular you're studying. But that 10% of knowledge that you're missing from those books and things like that come through experience. And that's the type of questions you need to ask somebody who has the experience. So ask an educated question. Show that you've done the research, that you're not being lazy and hoping that somebody who's been successful is going to do it all for you and give you the roadmap.
I heard Jawad will do it for them.
Well, yeah,
For a fee and ponchos.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean that was a little bit longer than a minute, but I mean it's great, and really some of that I'm sure you would agree that learning's first, and then you have to take action. Analysis paralysis will kick in, right?
You
so
have to take action.
We know a lot of people who talk about wanting to do investing or make more money, and they sit around just learning, and going to courses, and then 2 years later you ask them, hey, what's going on? Or a year later, and you're like, they haven't done anything. So taking action, just jump in too.
Yeah, I mean, you have to really want it. You have to, like I said, you have to really be obsessed with the pursuit of this. And that doesn't mean asking a couple questions, a couple people, reading a couple pages, and posting memes on Facebook, and then going to watch Netflix the rest of the night or evening. I mean, you've got a lot of time. There is a lot of time for you to. Don't say that you're too busy. If you really want something, you're going to make time for it. And there's no reason to sit there and watch mind-numbing things. If you really, really, really want something, then go get it. And it starts with learning first, and then it's the network that you have and asking educated questions,
and then taking action. Right?
Taking action.
So Scott asks, are you investing locally in multifamily, and are you finding the cap rates to be compressed?
So the answer to that question is kind of. So I'm not really investing in multifamily deals that are existing. I look at them. What I'm finding is what probably a lot of you that are looking are finding. None of that stuff excites me right now. Where we're at with the, marketplace, I'm not real, optimistic about values. I mean, cap rates are going to go up. That's how you value property is based on cap rates. And the reason it's going to go up is because interest rates are going up. It just has to, because the returns on investment that you get on your cash is based on how much you can leverage, your lever point. So the bigger spread between a cap rate and your interest rate on your loan, the more of a spread that you're going to get. So as those go up, you've got to have a higher cap rate to make the same cash on cash return. And so I'm seeing a whole lot of deals. Now, that's why I've found a little bit of a niche in a secondary market. I do a lot in Denton with development, so I'm able to achieve certain cap rates, and by being the builder too. This probably wouldn't work if I was to go out and hire a GC builder. Well, right? That's not necessarily true. It's still actually on certain projects, it still works, even with the builder fees in it. It depends on the builder and if they're going to be honest with you about how much it really costs. I mean, I'm building stuff very, very cheap, and a lot of people aren't.
So right now there's very few and far deals out there, multifamily, that's even.
I mean, I'm sure that there's still some out there. I don't particularly have the deal flow for those super juicy deals in multifamily, direct to seller, that still have meat on the bone. I mean, this seller would have to be in a really tight position and just, I mean, it's possible and they're out there, I'm sure, but your marketing is going to have to be on point. You're going to have to spend a lot of marketing dollars and look at a lot of deals to find something even remotely, worthwhile.
Right. Right.
And that's my opinion. There are people that are probably would tell me, well, I've bought this, and this, and look at these rates, and they found their niches, and
it works for them.
There's always an exception.
Yeah, it works for them. So Chance asks, is $100,000 cash enough to get into a multifamily project in DFW? So this might be a good time to talk. It could be, right?
Yeah, absolutely, it can be.
And Sage Oak could be an opportunity.
So here's the deal: we have a 506B, which is a type of syndication we're doing, which doesn't allow us to really solicit it in public or anything like that. So we can't really talk too much about it, but I'll talk about raising money in general and the 100,000. If you're talking about you buying it as the operator and getting involved, you can find some stuff, but it depends on your definition of multifamily. I mean, that's going to be maybe that could be a $500,000 property. So that could be a multifamily deal that you go into 100% of. But what you'll probably find is better is if you find a solid operator, somebody with a track record that you can invest that $100,000 into and have them pull it with other funds, other investors' funds, to do a deal that you normally would not be able to get into. And that's the whole idea behind syndication, so that you can get into big boy deals with big boy returns. And the great thing about that is the good thing and the bad thing is the good thing is you're passive. So you don't have to do any work at that point. The bad thing is you don't have any control over it. So you need to pick your operators well, and you need to, pick your projects well, or at least do some due diligence on it and really trust the operator. We do have several deals coming up. One in particular, I'll just say it's with Low Hornbuckle. It's an assisted living deal. I can't talk too much about it because of the regulations, but if you wanted more information about it, you can of course reach out to me, direct message me on Facebook.
And then a real question that Brandon asked: which brother has the best beard? We can put that up as a poll. I mean, I personally think I have the better beard.
Mine's just stubble right now.
Yeah, mine's real thick and nice. So we can put that up as a poll. But Brandon asked a real question: Are you, or maybe a better question in terms of investing? Are you seeing increase in rental occupancy rate as the housing market is starting to shift? So this is something you and I have talked about in the past, right?
Great question, Brandon.
Yeah.
So not yet. I think in general, occupancy rates have been going down a little bit, slightly. When you're checking the macroeconomics of the DFW area and reading the reports that are released, I think occupancy is slipping a little bit. It's due to all of this. I mean, there's an apartment going up everywhere. There's a ton of new supply coming on. There's a ton of supply. So there's a lot of places that need to be absorbed. I think there's going to be some delay, but I do think you're onto something. We're in the midst of a shift. Whether that's a shift to just a balanced market or something more is yet to be seen. But with that shift is going to make it where some people aren't going to, if it goes more in the direction where there's less people able to buy, especially with interest rates going up, I mean, where else are they going to go? So, that's one of the benefits of income properties. And it's the reason why right now we wouldn't do any developments that are what I call for sale development. So that's normal, like lot development to sell to a builder who's going to sell a product, or for us to build the product too and sell it to an end buyer. Because I think, number one, in my opinion, that's the riskiest form of development, because you have no income to fall back on or anything like that, especially of course you can rent the product out, but the rents are not going to pay your debt service on houses that are $350,000, $400,000, which is what they're going to have to be if they're around this area, because the land prices have gone up so much.
Perfect.
But that's a great question. And I do think that's what's going to help spring the income market or the multifamily market and prop it up, even with all this new supply.
Great. So that's really about all the time we have left. I mean, if you want to hit up Austin more, I mean, we're wanting to share our story because we get asked this a ton, so we wanted to put that out there. If there's any more questions, I see Brandon's coming in with another question.
We had a bunch of questions earlier too. I meant to try to get to them, but it doesn't work out on this. I'm going to try to do my best to go back and answer as many of them as I can. And we're doing this to learn what you guys want. If we were to build a class that we would hold with maybe our buddies Ryan Stuman and then maybe Sterling Reed, they've been asking us to do that. We're contemplating doing a class. I think it'd be more. I would prefer it to be more geared towards real estate development in general, just because there's a lot of classes on investments itself, like just, how to buy a rental property or how to flip a property. And that's not really, I don't think we can touch on subjects like that and all that, but there's not really a real estate development course or that I know of around here. There's just, and a lot of people want to learn about it. And at least, even if they're not close to being ready to do it, I think the A&G Development, I named this company way before we were even, like, I had no business naming it a development company at the time.
Not at all.
I just, I just knew we were going to get there. And so I think if you want to head that direction and see if it's something that you want to head that direction for, you got to start now. You got to start reading about it now. You got to start getting your mindset ready, and then the pieces will fall in place.
No, I love it. And then, so, ask more questions. Austin's really great about answering questions in the comments. Like this, share this, please. Tag someone in it who could learn from it. I got my buddy David Bentnick, who's with the Good Home Team. He's one of our top agents who has been amazing for us. So David better be sharing this for us and getting Grant Cardone and Gary Vee on. Otherwise, he'll be a disappointment in our eyes.
He's over here making faces,
yeah, he's making fun of us. So, again, thank you guys for watching. If you want us to do more of these, let us know what we can go on, whether it's a quick 10, 15 minutes. We'd love to share. Bring us deals. We love to analyze deals.
Yeah.
We love to make money. We want to make money together with you guys. We'll pay. Again, comment, like, love it, hate it, share it, subscribe. All those good things that all those people say when they make these videos. Again, if you have any questions, reach out to us. By the way, the Good Home Team is always looking for more seasoned agents to join our team. Want to give that plug. Our agents are amazing. And we want you guys to come join us. So thanks, Austin. I appreciate you coming on. You're a mentor, role model of mine, even though you're a brother. So again, comment, like it, share. Let us know what you think. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.